Dealers are dumping EVs, and what they're doing instead will shock you. Dealers are dumping electric vehicles faster than you could say, well, range anxiety. And what they're doing instead will shock you. From dissatisfied customers to staggering financial losses, the shiny promise of a greener future is losing its luster. As EV sales stall and frustrations mount, many dealers are pivoting back to the tried and true combustion engine, leaving the electric dream sputtering on the roadside. Get ready to see how the reality of EVs is far from the fairy tale we've been sold. Sales and financial losses. In the fast-paced world of the automotive industry, the once untouchable electric vehicle or EV market is now facing some serious financial turbulence. Many automakers like Ford and General Motors are feeling the pinch as their EV divisions bleed money faster than a leaky oil pan. These companies, which initially rushed to embrace the EV revolution with open arms and hefty investments, are now grappling with staggering financial losses. For instance, Ford recently reported losing over $1 billion in a single quarter on its EV efforts, a figure that would make even the most optimistic investor cringe. Similarly, General Motors isn't faring much better, as it wrestles with its own financial woes tied to the electric dream. So what's behind these eye-watering losses? Well, for starters, the costs of producing EVs remain stubbornly high. Despite advancements in battery technology and manufacturing processes, producing these vehicles is still a costly affair. The supply chain issues that have plagued the industry in recent years haven't helped either, making the components needed for EVs both scarce and expensive. As a result, the profit margin that automakers once enjoyed with traditional vehicles have taken a significant hit when it comes to electric ones. Then there's Tesla, the poster child of the EV movement, who isn't immune to these challenges. Despite being a household name and arguably the most recognizable brand in the electric vehicle market, Tesla has experienced declining sales in its stronghold of California. Once a symbol of cutting-edge innovation, Tesla is now facing stiff competition from other automakers entering the EV space. With more options on the market, consumers are less likely to default to Tesla, which has led to a dip in sales and subsequently a drop in the company's stock value. Investors who once saw Tesla as an unstoppable force are now reassessing their positions, wary of the shifting landscape. Consumer dissatisfaction. When it comes to EVs, consumer dissatisfaction seems to be the elephant in the room that the industry just can't ignore. Despite the flashy ads and promises of a cleaner, greener future, many EV owners are finding that the reality doesn't quite live up to the hype. A growing number of EV drivers are voicing their frustrations, and some have even gone as far as to say that they'll never purchase another electric car again. It's like the honeymoon period with EVs is over, and people are waking up to some pretty significant issues. One of the biggest complaints is related to engine problems. Sure, EVs don't have traditional combustion engines, but that doesn't mean that they're immune to mechanical woes. Many drivers have reported strange noises, unexpected shutdowns, and costly repairs. It turns out that maintaining these high-tech vehicles isn't as simple as they were led to believe, and when something goes wrong, finding someone who knows how to fix it can be a nightmare. Mechanics trained to work on traditional engines might scratch their heads at EV issues, leaving owners stuck with expensive dealership visits. Then there's the charging conundrum. For all the talk of convenience, charging an EV can be a real hassle. It's not like you can just pull into any gas station and fill up in 5 minutes. Instead, you're left hunting for a charging station, hoping it works and crossing your fingers that you don't have to wait in line. And let's not forget about the time it takes to actually charge the thing. Fast charging? Hey, sure, but fast is relative when you compare it to filling a gas tank. A quick pit stop can turn into a lengthy coffee break, or two. Poor resale value is another striking point for many consumers. After shelling out a small fortune to be part of the green revolution, many EV owners are finding that cars depreciate faster than a New Year's resolution gym membership. As new models with improved technology hit the market at a rapid pace, older EVs quickly lose their appeal, leaving owners with vehicles that are worth a fraction of what they paid. It's a bitter pill to swallow for anyone who bought into the promise of a smart investment. So, what are dealers doing in response to this growing dissatisfaction? They're pivoting back to what they know best: traditional vehicles that people trust and understand. The allure of EVs might be wearing thin, but there's still a robust market for cars that go vroom instead of hum. Economic and political factors. Economic and political factors play a crucial role in shaping the EV market, and not always in its favor. Government incentives like tax credits are designed to encourage consumers to make the switch to electric cars. However, these incentives often fall short of making EVs financially accessible to the average buyer. While the promise of a tax break might sound appealing, the reality is that the initial purchase price of EVs remains prohibitively high for many. The credits simply aren't enough to bridge bridge the gap between the cost of an EV and a traditional vehicle. This leaves potential buyers wondering if the extra expense is really worth it, especially when considering other drawbacks like charging infrastructure and resale value. Moreover, the dependency on China for critical materials used in EV production, such as lithium and rare earth metals, adds another layer of complexity to the equation. China dominates the global supply chain for these materials, which are essential for EV batteries. This reliance means that any geopolitical tension or trade disputes with China can result in significant disruptions and increased prices. We've already seen how these issues can impact the availability and cost of consumer goods, and EVs are no exception. As political climates shift, the security and affordability of these vital resources hangs in the balance, creating uncertainty for automakers and consumers alike. In addition, some argue that government policies favoring EVs often overlook the environmental and social costs associated with mining and manufacturing these vehicles. The extraction of critical minerals is not only resource intensive, but can also have significant environmental impacts, including habitat destruction and pollution. This aspect of EV production doesn't align with the green image that the industry promotes. Furthermore, many of the countries where these minerals are mined face challenges related to labor conditions and human rights, raising ethical concerns about the true cost of the electric transition. Environmental concerns. The notion that EVs are the ultimate eco-friendly solution is being challenged by a growing awareness of the environmental costs associated with their production and operation. While EVs are often marketed as a green alternative to traditional gasoline-powered cars, a closer look reveals some significant environmental concerns that often get brushed under the rug. First and foremost, the electricity used to charge EVs doesn't magically come out of thin air. In many parts of the world, electricity is still generated from fossil fuels such as coal, natural gas, and oil. This means that charging an EV could indirectly contribute to carbon emissions, depending on the energy mix of the region. While renewable energy sources are gradually becoming more prevalent, they're far from being the sole providers of electricity. So, the notion that EVs are zero-emission vehicles is somewhat misleading when the source of their power is taken into account. Additionally, the extraction and processing of rare earth minerals and metals required for EV batteries, such as lithium, cobalt, and nickel, have significant environmental impacts. Mining operations often lead to habitat destruction, soil and water pollution, and substantial energy consumption. These activities can leave lasting scars on the environment, contradicting the green image of EVs. Furthermore, mining often occurs in countries with less stringent environmental regulations, exacerbating the negative effects and raising ethical concerns. The environmental impact doesn't stop at extraction. Manufacturing EV batteries is an energy-intensive process that generates a considerable amount of emissions. Although EVs have lower emissions during their operational life compared to traditional vehicles, the carbon footprint associated with their production can offset some of these gains. It may take years of driving an EV to break even in terms of total emissions when compared to a gasoline-powered car, especially if the vehicle is charged using electricity from non-renewable sources. Finally, the issue of battery disposal poses another environmental challenge. EV batteries have a limited lifespan, and their disposal or recycling presents complex technical and environmental issues. If not properly managed, they can contribute to electronic waste and environmental pollution. Despite the hype surrounding EVs, skepticism about their role as the future of transportation is growing. While EVs promise a greener, more sustainable future, significant hurdles remain. From consumer dissatisfaction to financial losses for major automakers and the environmental impact of their production, the road ahead is anything but smooth. Economic and political factors also play a critical role in shaping the EV landscape. Government incentives often fall short of making EVs accessible, while reliance on foreign resources adds a layer of uncertainty. The reality is that while EVs are a step in the right direction, they're not without their challenges and drawbacks. With all of these factors in play, many are starting to question whether EVs are truly ready to replace traditional vehicles on a large scale. The internal combustion engine, with its established infrastructure, affordability, and reliability, remains a strong contender for everyday consumers. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel so you can see more videos like this.